What's up, YouTube people? It's your boy Patty McNinja, and I released my Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 thoughts the other day. And one thing that I mentioned in that video is I love this game because it's an RPG in its truest sense. And what I mean by that is once you get past the intro section of the game, you are free to do whatever you want. You can play the game however you want. You have this ultimate freedom. Unfortunately, the flip side of that coin is you don't really have anything. You don't have clothes, armor, weapons, whatever, and you really don't have any money. So yes, you have the freedom to do whatever you want, but you don't really have the ability to do whatever you want. And so I thought it would be kind of useful with this video. Now that I've played the game a lot, I would kind of share with you, especially if you're brand new to the game, what I think you should do before you even consider doing your first quest. So in this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite things to start off this game. So without further ado, let's rock. So the first thing that you want to do, and this is pretty self-explanatory, is before you bury this dead guy right here, you want to loot. Now, obviously, it's not the best gear, but it's free. And this game doesn't give you a ton that's completely free. So this way you won't start off with nothing. This game isn't going to help you very much. You kind of got to help yourself. And this is one way that you can get a step ahead in this game. The next thing that you want to do, which is pretty much right after looting this dead guy, is you want to level up your alchemy. And the way that you can do that is, of course, you can certainly just get the materials to make the potion to save Hans and progress in the game. However, I would suggest spend a little bit more time, make a little bit more potions, level up your alchemy. Mostly because we're going to be able to sell the potions later, the extra potions that we're going to make. You can sell them later, kind of get your first little nest egg in this game. But more importantly, the more you level up, the quicker you're going to get the Secret of Equilibrium perk, which gives you a awesome margin of error with the potions. That's pretty OP early on in the game. All right, so once you finally get past the long kind of intro section and you're finally out on your own, do not go very far. As soon as you get released from the stocks, you want to talk to this NPC named Bara. She's got a lot of useful info. Basically, I would suggest talk to her until there's nothing left to say. She's going to set several important markers on your map, but arguably the most important is a NPC called Tomcat, who we will visit later to learn the Master Strike. But before we leave the town that we're currently in, let's make a little money. So there's a short walk over to the apothecary to sell those extra potions we made earlier. Now you can use that money to purchase the ingredients for Savior Snaps, which is, there's two main ways to save in this game. One, you have to sleep in a bed that you own. So sleeping in a stranger's bed, first of all, they're going to wake you up and then kick you out, but also it doesn't save your game. And then also drinking the Savior Snaps. It's pretty rare to get any, and the ingredients to make them are pretty expensive. However, if you play on console, I don't know if this trick works on PC or not, you will actually get a save and exit option. I think you have to drink the Savior Snaps that you're given at the beginning of the game to give you that save and exit option. However, if you're willing to wait like 20 seconds, you can basically spam the save and exit. Yes, it's going to kick you out of the game, but then you just hit continue, and then you're going to go through that loading screen and you're going to be good. And you can spam that as many times as you want. I've only used the snaps once in like the 40-ish hours I've played this game. So I would just save your money and use it for something else, which we do have to spend it here in a little bit. But in the spirit of making more money, there's actually some beehives close by in this same town, and you can actually raid those beehives free, and you aren't stealing anything. Nobody will say anything to you. And not only is honey useful to sell, because you get a decent amount of money, it's not going to be something that you're going to get rich off of in this game, but especially early on, which if you're watching this video, I assume that you're pretty early on in this game. Honey is great to sell because it's going to give you a little bit of a nest egg, but also it's super useful because it doesn't spoil like most foods do. Like fresh fruit and chicken and meat and all that stuff, that will spoil unless you dry it. Honey does not spoil, and it gives you a ton of nourishment. So it's super useful, especially considering you get it for free. And then you can just kind of come back here every couple of days and raid these beehives. So in the same town, so we still haven't even left the first town yet. You do want to talk to the bailiff. He's going to tell you about a fresh grave. I mean, he's going to tell you about a few things. I would suggest, just like with Bara, just keep talking to him until he won't say anything else to you. He's going to tell you about a fresh grave. Now, you will need to use some of that money that you either got from selling potions or selling honey to buy a spade, because you're going to have to do a little grave robbing. But before you do that, let's grab a pretty good axe. It's actually something that you can use for a while. It's got pretty good stats, especially for something that you just got for free. So it's really nice. And we're about to get a shield that's also really nice, especially considering it's free, because we're going to do a little grave robbing. So you have to come over here, and then you just dig up the grave, and the shield's right here. So the map in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is pretty big. It's going to take you a lot of time if you're just walking around. So you can steal horses in this game, but stealing horses aren't super useful, because once you get off of them and you kind of go about your business, you can't whistle for them to come back. So you need your own horse. And actually, if you go to a nearby town of Sameen, you can actually find your old horse, Pebbles, in a stable. Now, again, hopefully you're playing on console, because I don't know if the save and exit thing works for PC, but I would definitely create a save point at this point, because you're going to have to convince the horse trader to give you Pebbles for free, because there's not enough honey and potions to get 150 groschen to buy him right this moment. So you want to go ahead and create a save point, because he may say no, and once he says no, it's over. He's not going to give you that option again. So it might be good to create a save point just in case. I would suggest making sure you're cleaned up, have the nicest clothes that you have now. You're probably just going to have the clothes that you looted from the guy earlier, but make sure that you're cleaned up. That's going to make a huge difference. I mean, honestly, your reputation and how you look makes a huge difference in this game in general. So you definitely want to make sure that you're cleaned up first. Now, if he does say no, it's not the end of the world, because we're going to make some serious money here in a couple of steps. So you can always come back and buy your horse later. And there's a really easy way to steal horses from the stable near the beehives that we took that honey from. So for the time being, if he says no, I would just go ahead and start stealing horses until you can actually get enough to buy either Pebbles or buy another horse yourself. There is a black market horse trader that you can eventually, to make even more money, you can take your stolen horses to, and he will actually, you can actually acquire the horses or you can sell them. All right, so you definitely want to travel to a nearby town, and as long as you talked enough to Bara, the blacksmith should be on your map at this point. And now either take Pebbles to that town, or whatever stolen horse that you're on, and go visit the blacksmith. Now, after talking to him for a little bit, he is going to offer you a job to be, as you might have guessed it, a blacksmith. And if you played the first game, you know that makes sense. And it's a good skill to earn some money, especially if you want to play it straight and you don't want to steal anything, which a third of this video isn't going to be super useful to you if you're not willing to steal things, because that's going to be a lot of the rest of this video. Basically, is going to be me teaching you how to be good at stealing stuff in this game. But blacksmithing is a good way to make some money early on. Now, it does cost you money, so you only kind of make a small profit because you have to buy the materials to blacksmith. You don't typically get that much money, but if you don't want to steal anything, this is kind of the easiest way to make money, because it can be kind of relaxing to do the blacksmithing. It was kind of fun for me for a little bit, but the best thing that the blacksmith gives you is not actually the job. He actually gives you your own little place to stay right behind his house. And why this is super important is not only because it gives you a place to save your game, but also it has a chest that you can keep things in, which is super helpful, especially if you do decide to steal stuff, because you will need a place to hide those things until the heat cools down a little bit, because this game does mark stolen things as stolen for a couple of days. So you kind of have to stash them and wait for that little stolen icon to be removed. And if you do decide to go the thieving route, the next stop after the blacksmith should be the miller. Now, like the blacksmith, he's going to offer you a job. The job he offers you isn't as glamorous as a blacksmith. You just haul sacks of flour, but then you're going to quickly find out that there's more that meets the eye with his operation. And then once you figure that out, he will kind of take you under his wing and he will teach you how to thieve, which is good. Not only because it's a good skill to have in this game, but also throughout the course of your training, you're going to get a free dagger. You're going to get some lock picks. You're also going to have a lot of practice lock picking, which is super useful, especially for the next tip. Lock picking is easier in this game than the original game, but it's still pretty annoying. So I would definitely suggest practicing as much as you can. This game doesn't give you a ton of opportunities to practice your skills for free. This is one of the rare opportunities, so I would definitely suggest taking advantage of it. All right, so on to the second to last tip, and this is where we're going to make some serious money, but it does involve some thieving. Very low stakes though. I've not gotten caught one single time when I'm doing this, but if you're not comfortable with stealing in this game, I understand. Just go ahead and skip to the next tip. I did do a more in-depth video covering this for my ways to make easy money in this game. I think this is the most complicated thing that I went over in this video, but it's not super complicated. It's easy and you make a ton of money, and it's basically a never-ending loop. You can just keep doing this over and over again. But this part will just be kind of the cliff notes of that video. So you do want to wait until midnight. That way everybody will be asleep. Make sure that you get naked, or if you do have a stealthy outfit, you're going to want to use that instead. But if you're watching this video, I assume that you don't have that outfit yet. Keep in mind that if someone sees you naked, they'll be very suspicious of you. That part probably won't matter because, like I said, I've done this technique about 100 times and I've never been caught before. But if you want to be 100% safe, again, I would create another save point that you can reload if you need it. There is one part of this that if you're not comfortable with it, you might get caught. So if you did all of the miller stuff and you practice the lock picking, the first part should be pretty easy. You just gotta lock pick the first two doors. Then you gotta steal the keys from the tailor. Hopefully you practice pickpocketing earlier as well, because that practice will pay off here. This is the only time that you really have any risk of being caught. But if you made a save point, don't worry, just reload that save if you get caught. But again, just kind of the cliff notes. The longer you wait, the more time you'll actually have to check the pockets. But the longer you wait, the more red that little section's gonna get. And if it gets bright red, the person's gonna wake up. Once you decide to actually start pickpocketing, just select the circles with a question mark until you find the keys. Select the keys and then make sure that you move back to the door, the circle with a door, before the time runs out, because they will again wake up and catch you. Once you have the keys, you can loot his chest by the bed, but better yet, his shop next door has a ton of really good stuff that's super expensive that you can sell later after the stolen status has been removed. You can also get really charismatic and fancy clothes from the shop too for free. So that's also useful because people will treat you different depending on what type of clothes that you have on. However, after you're done stealing what you want to steal, make sure that you put your regular clothes on again, because again, people see you naked, they're going to be very suspicious of you. And then once you're done with that, make your way back to the blacksmith apartment as fast as possible to hide the stolen goods in the chest. Stolen goods are marked stolen for a few days, so you'll just have to wait a bit before you sell them. All right, so the last tip I have for you is you want to go to the Nomad's camp to visit Tomcat. So we talked to Bara earlier. She gave us the marker for Tomcat. Let's go to that that camp and visit Tomcat. There's actually another NPC that you can talk to, the black market horse dealer, so you can sell a stolen horse if you need to. It's an easy way to make money because it's a pretty easy stable to steal them from. Now, as far as learning the Master Strike from Tomcat, you will need a sword. Hopefully you still have the sword from the guy earlier, or I could suggest buying a better one from the blacksmith, or you can just make one yourself. You will have to pay for the blacksmith materials to make it, but it's probably cheaper than buying the sword from the blacksmith. But once you sell the stuff that you just stole from the tailor, money's really not going to be much of a complication for you. Now, after showing you some combos, Tomcat will give you an opportunity to duel him. If you win this duel, which will be tough, to be honest with you, he will teach you the Master Strike. And this technique will carry you through the early game. Beating him in the duel will take a couple of tries, but once you do, it's totally worth it. Because not only does he teach you the Master Strike, but while you're training with him, you're going to gain XP while you're doing it. So just rest at your apartment if he beats you to gain your strength back, and then kind of rinse and repeat until you eventually beat him. So actually it kind of helps you to not beat him right away because it'll kind of give you free XP. But the Master Strike is really OP in this game, so you want to get it as early as possible. It's just Tomcat's kind of tough to beat right off the bat. All right, so after all of that, now you're basically ready to play the game and you're ready to go out and do an actual quest. Now, you could do whatever you want. I would suggest doing the quest to get Mutt, your best friend, dog, companion that you have in this game, because not only would it be awesome to have a dog, like if a game gives you an opportunity to get a dog as a companion, you should definitely do that. But he's also very useful, especially if you have him leveled up and he has his own perk system that he can do, his own skill tree. And there are a lot of things that are super helpful in that skill tree. Most notably, you can actually sick him on enemies and he'll actually attack enemies. Now, he's not super strong. He's not a tank by any means, but he is kind of useful because the combat in this game can be very frustrating. And one thing, even if you had the Master Strike, it can still be kind of difficult to pull off. And so one thing that I really like about having Mutt is that you can sick him on enemies and you can kind of aggro the enemy and they'll kind of stop paying attention to you and you can get a couple of free swings on them. So I think it's really, really useful to have Mutt. So I would definitely suggest doing his quest line first. Now, his quest line is kind of annoying. There's a lot of like going from this place to this place to this place just to get information about Mutt. Now, you will get to a point where they will tell you to go see a fisherman. I would suggest just go ahead and skip that part and just go straight to the huntsman. He's the one that you actually will actually give you information. Now, you will have to fight a lot of wolves, but if you've done all my steps so far, especially with getting the shield, that won't be that hard because the shield is really easy. Like it's kind of OP against wolves. Like you'll be fine. Now, there will be a bandit camp that you will have to steal a horse from to give to the huntsman. It's his horse, and that can be a little bit difficult, but if you got the dagger from earlier, you should be fine because then you can stealth kill a couple of them, kind of thin out the herd. There's like 5 or 6 bandits in this camp, and so if you can kind of sneak up behind a couple of them and kind of thin them out, it won't be that big of a deal. But again, you can do whatever you want, but that would be the next quest I would do. And then of course you could do the blacksmith quests. Those are pretty easy. The miller quests are pretty easy as well, especially if you're good at sneaking around. The miller quests can be pretty easy, and that's gonna kind of kick the game off because they're going to actually get you into the wedding, and that's going to be the first major thing that you're going to do in this game. All right, as always, those are just my suggestions. Now, I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. Maybe there was something that I missed. This game is huge. There's so many things to do. So these are just my favorite things that I would suggest you do when you first start this game. But it's not everything. It's not an extensive list. So let me know in the comments down below if you think I missed anything. But of course, if you're this far in the video, you probably enjoyed it. I doubt you hate watching a video like this at this this point. So if you did, do me a favor, smash that like button, as the kids say. Consider subscribing. If you do subscribe, ding that bell. That way you get notified every time I post a video. Try to post weekly gaming related content. So if you're into that kind of stuff, which you obviously are if you're watching this video, definitely consider subscribing and ding that bell. But until next video, take it easy. What's up, YouTube people? It's your boy Patty McNinja, and this is my boy Yoshi, aka Kitty Boy. And we were just talking, and we agree that since you made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe. You wouldn't want to disappoint Kitty Boy, would you?